Hello friends, it is Alaska road trip day. Today I'm going to take you on one of my favorite drives in all of Alaska. We're going to be driving from Anchorage to Homer. It's about a 5-hour drive and it is gorgeous. Today I have my co-pilot Bennett and my niece Jossie. Okay friends, let's head south to Homer from Anchorage. On the map it is about a 4-hour drive. But make sure to give yourself extra time to stop and enjoy the views, gas up, take some time to stretch and get something to eat. It is also very common for Alaska roads to have construction during the summer, so be prepared for some stops for that. If you have a schedule somewhere you're trying to get, make sure you give yourself a bit of extra time. As we make our way through Anchorage, these are some of the only stoplights we have along the way. Alaska is kind of unique. A lot of our roads go right through our cities because we do not have a ton of roads. So you will hit stoplights in the cities, but there's a lot of road without stoplights. As we make our way through Anchorage, you get beautiful Chugach mountain views right away from the very beginning. And we are now leaving Anchorage and heading down the Turnagain Arm. Here on the left, as we leave Anchorage, is Potter's Marsh. It has excellent boardwalks to watch birds, wildlife, and salmon. You might notice that this is not a very big road. It is often just 2 lanes. Sometimes it gets as big as 4 lanes, but often the road is only 2 lanes. And many places in the US have multiple routes to get to cities. This is often not the case in Alaska. This road right here is the only road that heads south out of Anchorage to the Kenai Peninsula. That sometimes proves really difficult when there maybe is an accident or construction along the windy coastal road. It is literally built right into the side of the mountain, following this winding path. Lots of maintenance is done to keep the rocks from falling on the road, but as you can see, it is spectacular from the very beginning and offers lots of pull-offs along the way to enjoy the views safely. There are also lots of hiking trails as we go along. I'm going to point some of those out. And yes, we did have to stop in construction. All these people are waiting for a pilot car. They were working on some of the rocks, making sure that they're not going to fall on the road. But it is a gorgeous drive. As you can see, we are right along the water, mountains on the left, mountains on the right, the Turnagain Arm. Now this, you will never see boats in the Turnagain Arm. It is just too shallow and the tide goes out so far. You often are looking at mud flats, and sometimes you will have waves in here and water, but it is not safe to take boats in, so that is not something you will see out there. Every once in a while you'll see some little kite surfers, but no actual boats. On the left we are passing the community of Indian. If you blink you will miss it, but there is the Indian Valley Mine where you can stop to do some gold panning right off the side of the road. Next we have the Gird Creek area. And this is where a 13-mile paved bike trail follows the coast. It's on the right, and then sometimes it moves on to the left of the road. It is excellent for biking, and it connects all the way to the next community of Girdwood. You may also notice the train tracks follow this same route along the Turnagain Arm. Riding the train south to Girdwood, Spencer Glacier, or Seward is another great way to see this beautiful area. It is always such a thrill to see the blue and gold Alaska Railroad chugging along the Turnagain Arm. You may be wondering what the speed limit is along this road. Most of the road is 55 miles an hour or 88.5 kilometers per hour. When the road expands to 4 lanes and allows safe passing, it bumps up to 65 miles per hour or 104.6 kilometers per hour. In construction zones, it drops down to around 35 miles per hour or 56 kilometers per hour, and is very important to follow these speed limits to keep everyone safe. This is a pretty dangerous road, so you gotta drive carefully. We are now approaching Girdwood. Girdwood is our ski town. Girdwood is about 45 minutes south of Anchorage. It has a ski resort in the winter, mountain biking in the summer, excellent restaurants, and several great hikes, including the Virgin Creek Falls, which is super simple. A little bit harder or longer is the Winter Creek Trail, and if you want a tough hike, you can hike the north face of the ski resort. There is also gold mining at the Crow Creek Mine. This is a great little town to spend a few hours in if you go along the Turnagain Arm. I honestly would say that if you have a day in Anchorage, make the drive at least to Girdwood and enjoy these beautiful views and this awesome little town. As we turn around and leave Girdwood, on the left there is an awesome community park plus a skate park for kids to enjoy. This is also one of the last places to stop for gas for a really long time. So if you ever come to Alaska and take this route and are going further, like to Homer, make sure that you are not close to empty when you pass Girdwood. We were hungry, so we stopped to grab a quick sandwich from Subway before continuing on our route south. This part of the drive after leaving Girdwood is one of my favorite parts of the entire drive. As we get down to the end of the Turnagain Arm, there are so many glaciers up in these mountains. It is just incredible. It is a very moody day, rainy, cloudy, but if you peek up into those mountains, there are hanging glaciers everywhere you look. You're actually going to the end of the Turnagain Arm, and then you turn back around to go up into Turnagain Pass. So you have to go up and around this Turnagain Arm. There is no way to get across it. They have talked about putting a bridge across it to save a bunch of time, but it has never happened. Other than all the beautiful views here as we get to the end of the Turnagain Arm, there are also some other treasures here. On the right-hand side of the road, we have the Wildlife Conservation Center, which is awesome to see a lot of native Alaskan animals. On the left-hand side, you can go to a few different little communities. You can hit the community of Portage. There's a hike to the Byron Glacier. You can also go through a 2-mile through the mountain tunnel to get to the city of Whittier and out to the ocean. It is very unique. All of those little treasures are here at the end of the Turnagain Arm. We are now kind of going back the direction we were just coming as we head up into Turnagain Pass, and we are an hour and 5 minutes into our route to Homer. You will notice we are starting to climb up into the mountains. It is very green up here, but you will also see a lot more snow still on the ground and on the mountains. We are gaining a lot of elevation. You may notice more snow and a lot less leaves as we get higher and higher into Turnagain Pass. But later in the summer, this is just so bright and green and lush. It just hasn't hit yet. Summer is very late and lots of snow still. This is a great place to stop and go to the bathroom. They have bathrooms on both sides of the highway here. It's also a great place just to stretch your legs. Later in the season, these fields are filled with wildflowers, and it is a wonderful place to stop. On the right-hand side of the road here, there is actually a creek running along the side. There's many creeks and waterfalls and things like that. There is one creek in particular called 6 Mile Creek. At some point it may be a creek, but it actually turns into class 4 and 5 rapids here coming up pretty soon. And you can go with some guides and float down the river if you are up for like big adventures. It's not something I want to do, but I've heard it is a wild ride. It is coming up here on the right where they put in the rafts for this 6 Mile Creek. This is also what we call the Hope Cutoff. You can take a 16-mile road to the right to a little gold mining town. It grew up in the gold mining era of 1890s. It is a fun little town, but it is 16 miles off this road that we're on. So it is kind of a, detour. It does not get you anywhere other than to this little community of hope. And then you have to make your way back. Anyways, it's a fun little stop, and if you want to see people catching pink salmon in the fall or late summer, it's a place where you're almost guaranteed to catch a salmon. If you want to come to Alaska and have a good fishing experience, you can go to Hope at the end of the summer. Anyways, we are just continuing on through Turnagain Pass. It is gorgeous. There are mountains, there are lakes on the sides that people are boating in. It's just a beautiful route no matter where you look. We are now coming up to a place where you have to make a decision. You can stay on this road and go for another about hour and get to Seward, Alaska, which is on the ocean. We are going to be taking a right on the Cooper Landing Cutoff. So we see now we are turning to the right, and we are also changing weather, it looks like. We went from lots of rain to now we're getting some blue skies. So we are about an hour and 50 minutes into our drive as we approach Cooper Landing here, and we finally found some beautiful weather. Cooper Landing is actually where my husband and I came for our first date. We came here to go fishing. So we had this full 2 hours to talk and get to know each other on the drive to Cooper Landing. So it holds a special place in my heart. We are going to be approaching the Kenai River. It is this gorgeous turquoise blue color because it comes from a glacier, and it is world-class salmon fishing river. It also runs by the Russian River. They kind of come together here in Cooper Landing. And if you are a fisherman coming to Cooper Landing to fish the Kenai and the Russian is a must. You can rent rafts, you can go with a guide with a drift boat, or you can also come and hike down to the river and go fishing. There are lots of options, but Cooper Landing, especially on this day, was the place to be. It had the nicest weather of anywhere, and it was a great place for a pit stop. We made it to Cooper Landing. This is about halfway to Homer, and it's turned really nice. Like I said before, the community of Cooper Landing really centers around fishing. So there are some lodging available. There are places that you can start your floats on the Kenai River. There are campgrounds along here. It actually goes down to like 35 miles per hour or about 56 kilometers per hour through here. It's very slow. The road is very narrow. But there are beautiful glimpses of the river along the way. It is just that iconic turquoise blue. It blows you away. So I highly recommend either fishing here or at least just stopping to take a look at the river as it peeks through along the road because it is just breathtaking. It is also fun as you get further down to see people along the river combat fishing. They will be standing right next to each other, 100 people in a row, trying to catch red salmon, silver salmon, trout. It's just one of the best fishing rivers in South Central Alaska. It is also one of the best places to catch a glimpse of a bear because they are wanting to fish that same river that all the fishermen are going after the salmon. As we come through Cooper Landing, they have done construction here for years, and the road has become very, very nice. You will notice as we come away from the Kenai River that the landscape changes. This is a fire burn area. A few years ago, a forest fire swept through this area and changed the look of it. A lot of burned trees still remain. A lot of them are falling down, and it just looks very different. But it is growing back. There are lots of flowers growing up in this area. We have had some awesome mushroom foraging in this forest fire area, but that is what you are seeing as we are leaving Cooper Landing and heading towards Soldotna area. We are a little over halfway into our drive to Homer, and we have passed a lot of small communities, but no real big cities up to this point. There are a few small gas stations with convenience stores, but between Anchorage and Soldotna, which we are about to get to, there's no big shopping. So you got to kind of prepare yourself for a long stretch of road without very many amenities. And this stretch of road between Cooper Landing and Soldotna is one of those areas. There's really not even very many houses along here. There may be some cabins tucked back in here, but Alaska is huge and so much of it has nothing but wilderness. Like, this is a very long stretch of road without anything. There's some power lines, a lot of trees, and this road going through. There are tons of lakes in this area. And then we finally get into the small towns leading up to Soldotna, where we finally see some stoplights and grocery stores and restaurants again. But be prepared for long stretches of road without all those conveniences. There's just a lot of wilderness still in Alaska. We have a stoplight. We are coming into Soldotna. We have Fred Meyer on the left. There is Cars Safeway on the right. There's a Starbucks, Subway, McDonald's. We stop to use the bathroom and get some drinks. We are 2 hours and 40 minutes into this drive, or 147 miles in. The Kenai River also continues into Soldotna. There are great places to camp here, and you can also catch salmon from Soldotna, so it is a great place to stop. We are continuing on our way south down the Kenai Peninsula in this continued rain. This is a long stretch here after Soldotna with varying views. We have some mountains off in the distance. On this section of road, I often start to feel really tired. It's a little bit more of a boring section in my opinion. You just kind of have the road and the trees and often a lot of rain and clouds because you're kind of going up higher. And yes, my front windshield did fog up because it was like 42 degrees up here. We are halfway through summer and we are still in the 40s. It's just crazy. I often have to pull over and take like a 15-minute cat nap in this area just so that I can be safe. But after my little cat nap, the weather seemed to get nicer. We are getting to the point where we will start to see the ocean off to our right again, and the views start to change a little bit more as we get closer to Homer. On this section, we do pass through several communities that go out to the water. They are fishing communities. They are old fur trading communities. The first one we're coming to is Ninilchik. And Ninilchik, you can go halibut fishing from here. They also have this really cool old Russian Orthodox church that you can go and look through right out on the bluffs overlooking the water. There's also good salmon fishing here at different times of the year. So we have passed through Ninilchik, no stoplights, a few little gas stations, a school, like I said, a Russian Orthodox church that you can visit. And you have to slow down a bit to go through these little communities, but then we are continuing on our way. At this point in the drive, I'm always very, very ready to be done and get to Homer. Off to the right, you start to get glimpses of Kachemak Bay. There are also volcanoes out on the other side of the inlet out here. So we are getting really close, but we are not quite there yet. At 3 hours and 43 minutes into our drive, or 206 miles from Anchorage, we reach Anchor Point. This is actually North America's most westernly highway point, which is really cool. And it is also another fishing hotspot. We are so close to Homer at this point. We are on the home stretch and it feels so good. About 4 hours of driving later, or 5 hours since we set out from Anchorage, we reach Homer. We will climb this last hill and then look out over Kachemak Bay. Homer is the halibut capital of the world. From here, you just see the gorgeous mountains across the bay, glaciers everywhere, and you just can hardly wait to come down the hill and get into Homer. At the very end of the road, we find the Homer Spit. The spit is a finger of land that juts 4.5 miles into Kachemak Bay. With water on both sides of you, you drive along this narrow neck of land. On both sides, there are little shops and restaurants, and you can even camp here on the spit. We are going to check out a few of the businesses here. Well, 5 hours later, through rain and sunshine, we've made it to Homer, Alaska. From the shops, you can see out to Kachemak Bay. The tide here is really far out. When the tide is in, it comes up underneath these shops that are on stilts. There are games you can play. You can walk down on the beach. There are yummy restaurants. We're going to head up a little bit further along the spit so we can see a few more of the shops that you can walk along. They really are a lot of fun. One of my favorites is the AK Starfish Company. They have awesome hats, sweatshirts, water bottles. They are owned by a high school teacher, former high school teacher. She now just runs these shops, and they're some of my favorite Alaska-made goodies around. They've got salmon on them, starfish, mermaids, and of course you got to kind of try and look like this little Halibut fisherman here. Bennett's trying to make the same face as this dude. We had a lot of fun looking at all the fish that people were bringing in from the ocean. There are lots of different fishing charters along here that you can sign up for a half-day fishing charter or a full-day fishing charter. Lots of different options. It was just really fun to explore and look at all the different shops. A little bench for husbands that need to wait for their wives. Spit Licks Creamery serving ice cream. There's kayaks that you can rent. This is also along the boat harbor, and lots of different art to look at by local artists. We thought this was really funny. Water for your dog or short people with low standards. Bennett tried to get a drink from that, but so many cute shops to go in. Lots of fun, lots of good food to be had if you're hungry. It's a really fun place to explore and spend a couple of hours in Homer. Thank you so much for making the trip from Anchorage to Homer with us today. We are so grateful for each and every one of you, and we'll see you again real soon for more of This Alaska Life Cabin Edition. We're headed to the cabin!